these are the Commander cards we think are most worth buying for October.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, fully supported by our list of patrons, which are on screen right now. This channel cannot and will not exist without patrons. You make this all possible. You can go to patreon.com and give us direct money to basically make the channel better. You will notice a direct correlation between number of patrons and quality of this channel.
Yes, we would appreciate that very much. You can also support us by using our affiliate link for IntoTheAM to get awesome swag shirts.
10% off.
Yes, and this whole channel sponsored by Moxfield.com.
Mid-roll ad. You won't be able to tell where it is. You can guess, but you're going to get it wrong. And happy birthday to everyone whose birthday falls on today.
Let's go. Let's get in this video. It's the cards most worth buying. Okay, let me just say this right away. This is not financial advice or anything like that. We're saying, hey, if you have a Commander deck where X card fits, these are worth that money. If a card is worth $20 and you have a deck that it fits into, put this in there for $20.
Yeah, it's X dollars good. We're not
Yes.
saying pick up 50, 100 of them to try to cheat the market.
I always love that saying. It's
Yeah.
X dollars good. This card is at least X dollars good and even might be better that we would pay more for these cards.
That's basically true of all this. We would pay more for these, and they're less.
Yes. So let's start with the first one. The first one is a card that when BZ asked how much would I pay for it, I said $5. But then BZ made a good point afterward that it has ended more games recently than any other card. It's a Chroma's Will. Currently $10. And BZ just made a really good point that I hadn't thought about. It has just simply put ended more games of Commander recently than any other card. Crater of Behemoth is something we don't see anymore. That would obviously be the first one.
It's rule zeroed out.
It's rule zeroed out of our format. But a Chroma's Will, it just ends games all day. The card is incredible.
It's like the new big bad. We had a board stall the other day. It was a 4-player game, and just ended up being hey, it's turn 11. Nobody's doing anything. I win the game right now.
So
and my opponent did that, and we just died.
What's really cool is that, so you think of Kratos. Kratos just kills everybody, always. Every single time. What a Chroma's Will does is it eliminates the number 1 or 1 and 2 threat, depending on how much power you have on board, and leaves you with enough life to survive any backswing, and gives your creatures vigilance, so they can't even then you swung on everything, they can still block.
Yeah, it just gives all the keywords. It might be the card that has killed me the most in 2022.
Yes, and that's saying something. Like a single card, Chroma's Will is doing that. The card is very good.
Next, another card is very good. Archivist of Ogma, also $10. This is the 2/2 flash that draws you cards when opponents search their libraries. That's all the time. I love this card. I like it better than Opposition Agent in terms of how much value you get. Opposition Agent gets a lot of unseen value where they don't cast cards, but this is the game will just continue and you will just draw a bucket of cards because it's not worth not playing your spell just to deny them a card.
There are certain power levels where it's better or worse depending on where you're at, but all green decks are playing ramp that searches decks, so you can pretty much just throw this in any meta. Obviously, when you hit the fetch land meta, it's max power, your
tutors,
amazing. It just gets better and better as you go up in power until you hit CD8s and it kind of falls off a little bit.
I don't know. Then it's all fetch lands and tutors. That's every deck.
Yeah, it's very true. I guess it just doesn't fall off. It's just power level, card just keeps getting stronger.
Just fantastic, and I could envision this only going up until maybe it gets reprinted or maybe not. Next, Fairy Artisans is $11.50. It kind of doesn't even look that good, but then we've just played with it enough. It's always the biggest threat on board. There's too many cards that ETB or die or attack or something that just can't be done. Obviously, dying is whatever. But this thing takes over the board. It's surprising.
Every single ETB is yours now. It prevents players from playing creatures sometimes, and if they have to advance their board state, they advance your board state with it. On top of that, it makes artifacts. So on the random off chance that you have artifact synergies in your deck, which you definitely can, it makes artifact versions of these. Die effects do matter. If you add in...
You can just sacrifice.
If you add in sacrifice effects, every time you're about to get a new token, sack the one from before.
Yeah, $11.50 is a little pricier than this card has been, but I still think this is just going up and up in my threat detection radar.
Yeah, I feel like it's a card you just have to answer because it just gets so much value so fast for nothing. It just sits there and just gets this value.
What's one way to answer this card?
Well, you could stop it on the stack with Mana Drain. It'd be $34 currently, and it is, I think, in Commander, the best free counterspell.
Right, the best way to counter a spell while paying mana.
Exactly. So if you're not playing, Force of Will, Force of Negation, obviously all those come first, even Pact Negation in some decks. All of that comes first, and then it's Mana Drain. It's just paying mana for a counterspell. Mana Drain's here. It's the best, and it is absurd because usually a counterspell's okay, 1 for 1, and that's fine. It ends there. It's over. No. Mana Drain says, all right, next main phase, get some crazy amount of mana.
You really you can't really be not mana positive with this card. It is swings the game heavily in your favor, and this is your PSA, because in my brain, I know I've been thinking of Mana Drain as an $80 or $60 card for the past 20 years, my entire life, but it's finally down to an actual affordable card that I will get for decks, and we have gotten for decks.
Yeah, we just have our extra ones just sitting in our binder for all of our blue decks. Cause
now we can just play Mana Drain and everything. I think the same might be true for some of you out there.
Yeah, exactly. Mana Drain is a very affordable card compared to what it used to be. Like you said, and it wasn't even just you're talking, it was $80 in your lifetime, but before the first reprint in a master set, the card was at least $150, $200. The card was absurd.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Archon of Cruelty, one of our favorite reanimation targets, but we will specify for mid to mid plus power level. We're not talking don't bring this out in the CDH, don't bring this out, even if I think if combos are possible at the table, probably just leave this at home. It's $12, but it's the most satisfying card to resolve.
I think the main thing about this card is that it fits really well into a Rule Zero type format where you're trying to cultivate a fun environment.
With house bands?
Some of the big reanimation things are Villas and Razaketh. These things that win the game. They don't leave any room for interpretation. Even if you remove them, they still tend to just have won the game immediately on the spot because they're so ridiculous. This thing leaves room. This thing can attack 5 times, and you don't necessarily win the game. It's really good, and you get a ton of value out of all those attacks. But I don't feel like the game's just over and you just lose. I feel like it's such a fun, fair card. It is perfect for the fun side of Commander.
We're attacks matter. This is the perfect top end reanimation target.
I love the card.
Super, very, very fun.
It's become a card I put in all my decks because I feel like it really encapsulates both what I'm looking for in Commander, which is big, giant, splashy stuff, and the fun factor of not making my opponents not enjoy the game.
Doesn't make a 5-minute turn. Doesn't end the game on the spot. Perfect.
Yes. Next we have Liliana, Dreadhorde General. Currently $19, and it's a card somehow we've never talked about in this series.
We've talked about it plenty, just not in terms of how friggin' worth it this card is to buy.
Yeah, I mean, this card I think had hit $30 for a while, and it's gotten a couple pseudo reprints, not really high super reprints, but it's kind of just slowly gone down, and I think bar none, it is the best Planeswalker in all of Commander, and well worth almost $20.
Yeah, the -4 can be brutal, the +1 is even annoying, and the static is just...
It's the static.
Game controlling... Coupled with the fact that there are some cards that you're playing anyway, like Yawgmoth, that could just lead to this ultimating. This is the best ultimate on a Planeswalker, really, for Commander.
Yeah, exactly. It's so strong. You draw so many cards off of this. It makes stupid bodies. It minuses, and when it minuses, not only does it get rid of creatures on the board, it also draws you cards. This card is... It's everything you want in a Planeswalker. It legitimately protects itself, unlike most Planeswalkers.
Yes.
And when it doesn't protect itself, you trade off your crappy creatures, you draw cards, and then she dies, and you still drew cards.
Yeah, we can't stress how good she is. She's amazing. Any sack deck, any Super Friends deck, it's just they're going to be so happy to play this because it's really good.
All right, BZ, you love this one. Tell us what it is.
Oh, man, this has been one of my favorite cards to play of the entire year. It's Shadowgrange Archfiend. Only $4, and I think it's been going up, so watch out, because this thing is a brutal. It's a straight-up 3-for-1. You gain some of your life back. It's kind of worth it for 7, but you really want to madness it, and you just feel like you're cheating. And this thing is recurable. You can just keep casting it, because it doesn't cost that much mana. When you madness it, it will take over the game and just kind of lead to, from your opponents.
Yeah, the card is very, very good, and it definitely makes me do that. Sometimes I've even felt like this card in a lot of decks can be unfun to play against because it's so good.
It really hits that level.
It does, because what happens is the decks that play this card don't play it once. They never do. It's one Shadowgrange Archfiend trigger, yeah, really strong, really good, really annoying.
It dies, and it's okay, I'll discard Call to the Netherworld and bring it back, and then discard it. Here we go.
Over and over and over again. This is every single Shadowgrange Archfiend deck. It has 15 ways to recur, and you don't play against it once, you play against it 7 times, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it is just perfect. Please do not sleep on this card. It is amazing.
Yeah, if you have discard synergies, play Shadowgrange Archfiend. If you can get that madness cost,
I think if you have $5 in your pocket, get this card, and you will not regret it. You will thank yourself. At least, next time you build a deck.
As long as it's, again, synergy. As long as you're doing the madness cost, chef's kiss of a card.
Chef's kiss. Ophiomancer. This card is just plummeted. It's $5 right now, which is down 2 more from the last time we mentioned this card on the channel. It makes a snake every time you don't have a snake, and the snake has death touch, so it's useful for sacrificing. You can keep getting them. It's useful for throwing up some defenses. No one's going to swing one creature into a thing that just replaces itself, so it's going to gain you a little bit of pseudo life.
Oh, this card's so good. You don't get attacked. Like, this is the best version of like any of these don't attack me cards.
Yeah,
like,
don't give me Ghostly Prison. Give me this.
Yeah, exactly. This feels like the Ghostly Prison effect. Sure, they can go super wide and go around it. That is something that can happen. But mostly, they're just not going to come at you on the ground. They're not going to trade a real card for a dumb snake token that just doesn't matter and will come back next turn. It literally isn't even a trade for you. Yeah. You're just getting.
It's not even a resource.
It's basically a removal spell on whatever their best creature is that attacked you, and then you get it back.
Even just controlling Ophiomancer and Viscera Seer is scry 1 every turn of the game.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Pretty sweet.
Adding in that is the best way to like take advantage of this. Add in Sack Outlets with Ophiomancer.
Yawgmoth is dirty.
I was just gonna say, if you had Yawgmoth and Ophiomancer out, because it feels unbeatable.
If they don't answer it, you're just drawing 5 cards per turn cycle, counting the one you draw for your turn.
Yeah, it's literally a card every 2 cards in your turn and 1 every other turn.
Yeah,
so good.
Never been more affordable, this Ophiomancer.
It's $5. This card in your Attacks Matters meta is absurd.
Mm-hmm. Snuff Out. This is the card we've been hyping up. I feel like forever at this point. I don't know. Maybe we were the earliest on the Snuff Out train, but it's starting to creep up there. Free removal is harder to come by nowadays. Look at Deadly Relic, which is $43. It was up from, I think, $17 when we first started talking about it, first got printed, and everyone thought, obviously, this card's amazing. Now it's $43, and nobody can afford it, so I think they're turning to Snuff Out, which is also fantastic.
Yeah, the fact that Snuff Out costs you nothing but life usually when you cast it is what makes this card so good. It's only $7. And the cool versions, I mean, that's for the crappy old version that nobody wants to see out of. The cool versions are all like $13, $14.
Yeah, but you can settle for $7, and I think this card's still worth $13, $14. It's that
Oh,
powerful to have free interaction. The people who say, like, the people who don't play this card because it says non-black, just try it. It's really not that big of a deal. It's okay.
It's really interesting.
This is the biggest tempo swing.
I'm not saying you should play Doomblade, okay? Because, like, Doomblade, obviously, non-black? Oh, that's really, really rough. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to kind of avoid that card. We're not talking about spending mana. We're talking about a 0-mana interactive spell. That is worth it. I will take some hit. Yeah, I know Deadly Relic exists, but we can't all have Deadly Relics in our deck, and we can only play one Deadly Relic because Deadly Relic, even if you have all the money for Deadly Relic, there's still only one of it.
I will happily play both of these cards. It is very, very strong. Snuff Out, they can never guess if you have it because it never costs any mana.
Exactly.
How do you play around Snuff Out?
You don't play around Snuff Out.
Yeah.
You can guess that maybe they have Snuff Out, and sometimes you can play around it in a slight way. But even then, it's like, what if they don't have it?
Yeah, exactly. And also, Doomblade, I almost just look at 2 mana destroy 1 creature. Ooh, that's what I'm looking. I'm not even reading the non-black.
Well, for non-black. Non-black is like
doesn't help. But you know what would help? If you had Moxfield.com, the best deck building website, then you could lay out your entire deck, check your removal. You could sort it by a tag labeled removal, and you'll see everything laid out. You see Lethal Scheme, Snuff Out, Deadly Relic, and then you see Doomblade, and you just go, oh, this card kind of stinks, and then you cut it from your deck, all thanks to Moxfield.
Oh, absolutely. And 100%. Those tags do work for you because they really let you see what your deck is missing or lacking. You can use these things called universal tags. So now every deck that you have, you can label your Snuff Outs as removal across all those decks. So now I don't have to go through all 35 of my decks and label Snuff Out a removal spell. No. Label it universal tag removal. Now it's removable in every single one of my decks.
Moxfield, you're always there for us. We love you.
Seriously, Moxfield is so good. Keep using Moxfield and follow the Nitpicking Nerds to see all of our awesome decks.
Yeah, I can't say that you should keep using this next card, Blood Moon. It's kind of misery incarnate, but it is $8. And if you're playing in a high power, we can shift to high power metas or cutthroat metas that just don't care and they're fine with throwing haymakers like this one. It's amazing. It just shuts off Magic the Gathering for players that don't have basic lands.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So this is a card that rules zeros to not being played very much. It's $8. It's weird because it is very, very good. But why is this card underrepresented? Let me just go over a little bit of Stacks things. Why do people not like Stacks cards? It's because when they're played, the thing that makes Blood Moon so good and amazing isn't it makes casting spells a little harder. It's that when it's working, your opponents aren't playing Magic. They're not casting spells. They're not interacting. They're not even playing the game. They're sitting there. That's when this card is good. And that's why these cards aren't played very often and aren't very fun. That's That's just a rule of Magic. Now, am I saying never play Blood Moon? No, I'm not saying never play Blood Moon, but I'm saying definitely don't bring it to your casual fun game where someone has like their like $25 4-color on that deck and they're playing all tap lands, like, and you're just gonna be a huge jerk and play Blood Moon in your mono red deck. Be like, well, that'd be kind of mean.
Yeah, that's some of the problem with it. It's like, oh, I got, you have my Coast Breeding Pool and like a Triome in play, and you play Blood Moon. Oh, I have an answer in my hand. I can't cast it. I have to now draw a forest off the top of my deck.
Exactly. It is a meta call and something that you should definitely always be discussed, Rule 0 wise, because it is a hugely unfun card when it resolves.
But if you don't care about that factor, super worth buying.
Oh yeah, okay, 100%. This might be one of the strongest cards in this whole list. It is ridiculously strong. It is one of the most underplayed cards in Commander because of its unfun factor. That its power is through the roof, especially with how many fetch lands, shock lands, duels, and great lands now we see in the Commander format. People aren't playing a lot of bases, especially once you hit 3 colors.
I'm mono green at that point. But what if you gave us a Storm Finisher now to cleanse the palate?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this card. It's Mizzix's Mastery, and it's $5. What I really, really love about Mizzix's Mastery is it is modal, for starters. You have the mode of just, hey, recast something in my graveyard for 4 mana because I need something to do this turn. Or you have the game-winning mode of overloading this card and playing everything.
It's the Rise of the Dark Realms for spells.
That's really true. But what really just makes this thing good is you don't have to do anything. Just like Rise of the Dark Realms, you play Magic.
Yeah, what's the setup cost?
You play your deck, and by a certain point in the game, if your graveyard hasn't been removed or interacted with, you just win.
Yeah.
Because now you pay 8 mana and you cast everything you had in your graveyard, and whatever, you probably have some big storm payoff at the end of it to just win the game.
Or you just really need like a Gutter Snipe, because I believe Mizzix's Mastery is worded in like the best way possible. So Gutter Snipe or any of these Magecraft cards, Gutter Snipe's going to just ping 2 every single time. So if you cast 14 spells, it's just 28 damage. But things like, the Archmage Emeritus or the Stormkiln Artist, they trigger off copying, and Mizzix's Mastery copies and casts every card.
Yeah, exactly. When cards do the copy and cast thing from your graveyard, they copy and cast. So
it's 2 triggers for each spell.
Yeah, exactly. This card it's ridiculously good. It's a great finisher. It's more for I wouldn't say casual, but more of like the not CDH or not.
Like when you start to see like critical mass, 3-4 card combos that can happen. And this is like a higher power card. It's like a Crater Hoof, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8 mana, put away the game as long as you've not had your graveyard removed.
Yeah, as long as you've played enough Magic. And no stranger to putting away games is Purphoros, God of the Forge. $24 for the god who's indestructible, and it's double impact tremors whenever you play a creature. 2 damage.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that just takes this card from like good to absolutely off the chain is the fact that it's indestructible.
It's not going to die to most removal.
It's so hard to remove this card. Now, yeah, obviously there are some ways to get around it and get rid of it, get it off the battlefield. But most of the time, this card just absolutely sits on the battlefield and says either you kill the player or you just lose to Purphoros, who's slowly draining you out every single turn.
Yeah, and most of these decks, they're not like mono red Devotion tribal. This thing just isn't going to be a creature. You're not going to get the easy out of like Deadly Rollicking or Shadowgrange Archfiending this, because it's probably one of their only red pips.
This card doesn't get turned on very much. It sits there as this indestructible enchantment. And how much exile-based enchantment removal is there? Not much, especially on the good scale of cards. So it's going to sit there and it wins the game.
Game ender, hard to interact with. Still not like, unfair.
It says play 20 creatures, win the game. This card is so good.
Let's get back to another Planeswalker. Let's throw another Planeswalker on this list. Vivian Monsters Advocate. It's only $5. That's only 5 $1 bills. And you get this Planeswalker that can actually tutor up some gigantic creatures and draw you multiple cards per turn if you're a high-density creature deck, which you probably should be.
Yeah, exactly. I think this one is, much like we talked about Arcana Cruelty, it's your lower power.
A sweet spot.
Attack Matters metas, where you're going to really want to play Vivian. She makes nice blockers for herself. She gives a nice stream of card advantage, again, like you said, high-density creature decks. And then, all you have to do is, if you want to tap with her once, her minus is so good. I'll cast a 6-drop and get a 5-drop. Okay.
Yeah, just go find the best card of my deck. Oh, here it is now. Vivian's still here. And you have to answer this, which might be like a more pressing threat. Here's an Avenger of Zenda card.
Yeah, I also like that. A big thing I really like about Vivian is that she makes reachers. That is the thing I'm picking every single time. One of the things that makes, not that makes Planeswalker so bad, but one of the reasons they die so quickly sometimes is there's a lot of flyers.
Just random flyer.
Random flyer on the battlefield. They're all just chipping away at your Planeswalker until it's dead, the Reacher can make a big difference. Flyers tend to be a lot smaller unless they're dragons.
Yes, and we are really all over the map here because this next card is like kind of a finisher, but it's definitely on the jankier side. It's Praetor's Council, 8 mana, get all your spells back. It's like the do-it-yourself Mystics Master. It's like, no, you got to cast them again.
I absolutely love this card. It's a card I don't play very often, but I think on a scale of fun, this card is amazing. It's 8 mana for nothing. You get nothing right away. And then, if you untap, you have so many cards.
Just you wait.
It is a just you wait card.
It's so cheap.
It is $3, and it's a very casual, fun card that I will put in any like janky fun deck. I'm willing to play this all day.
Yeah, we got Self-Mill, we got Eternal Witnesses to get this thing back. Let's go.
All right, now we got Field of the Dead. This card is absolutely ridiculous. It's so good, and this channel has become, it's half a joke. BZ gets asked to sign.
This is a Field of the Dead fanboy channel.
It is, because it's such a meme on this channel, basically, because we fanboys. I will literally play this in anything that's not CDH. If in special 2, 3, 4 colors, 100% in. 5 colors, probably still in.
Yeah, the thing about this deck is, or the thing about this card is that it's so good. It's amazing, but it's kind of amazing outside the game, where when you're building your deck, you just get to add free value into it that will generate some value in the game. It'll be pretty good. It'll make a couple blockers, maybe a couple attackers, maybe you'll sack a few. There's just plenty of ways to use, obviously, dummy tokens that you don't need. And it just, it is the biggest free roll. I love this card.
The thing is, it doesn't actually ask anything of you. Like, what is Field of the Dead asking of you? It's saying
you pay 1 mana to have like a tap.
There's about, honestly, there are about 5 or 6 decent cards in Magic that it's saying you can't play. Like, you can't play Blood Moon, it's saying you can't play like Wave of Vitriol. It's saying you can't play like some decent cards in Magic. Outside of those 6 cards, like, this card's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's literally just a free roll. You lose nothing. You don't lose anything.
It's a land, so it's really hard to interact with, and there's decks that can just sit behind this card, throw a Vesuva, throw a Thespian Stage, and literally make this card their win con, and it's more than likely not going to be interacted with, or they're going to be having some way to Life from the Limit back. It's sticky, and it's just continuous. It's nonstop free zombies.
It's value every single turn for nothing. And what did you do? You built your mana base good.
Yeah. Go click on any Nitpicking Nerds video. You're probably going to hear about Field of the Dead.
It's really easy to build. It's so easy.
Yes, it's about as easy as a 6-mana Wormcoil engine for $18. Now, it's not actually easy because this costs mana and you have to put it in your deck over a spell. But it is a lifelinker, which matters when attacks matter. It's going to feel pretty dang good to get a 12-point life swing or take out one of their creatures and just get that life total up when, you're actually in danger of being attacked to 0, not somebody kiki-jiki splitter twinning.
I absolutely feel like this is an absolute, like, game revolves around it when you're playing. If the combat matters, if life totals matter, this card, the game revolves around it every single time. You'll see clones of it. You'll see it reanimated. You'll see it over and over and over again. I've never seen a game where there's one Wormcoil. It never happens. There's always 2, 3, 4. Exactly. Wormcoils are known for hunting in packs.
Yes, they really are. So you're going to see this. It's definitely a lot. I mean, obviously everyone sees it all the time. It's a staple. That's why it's worth $18. I think you're going to get your values.
It's
worth.
Colorless.
It's synergized with a lot. Being an artifact and colorless, like, you're going to see it.
You can just put it in so many decks. Like, there's so many little tiny synergies. Sometimes you don't even need synergy because this card, even though it's like, it's overcosted for just playing it as a body without a lot of synergy, still pretty good.
Still pretty good. Hangerback Walker, also pretty good.
This
$4 though. This is only $4, and this is like the +1/+1 counter version of Wormcoil. You want to see this all the time, and you want to jam a bunch of counters on it, and then either let a board wipe happen or just kill it yourself, and you have a billion power flyers.
Yeah, exactly. Hangerback Walker is really silly good. One thing I will say about Hangerback Walker that I think is super important is, yes, it has a lot of counter synergies. You want a couple sack outlets with this card. I feel like there is a huge... You're leaving a lot of value on the table with Hangerback Walker if you cannot sacrifice it.
You gotta toss a high market in your deck.
Because it becomes, sure, they won't attack into you on the ground. They'll either fly over you or they'll wait to find their exile-based removal to get this off the battlefield. But when you add in a couple of ways to sacrifice it, it just gets so much stronger.
And your initial investment is almost nothing. It's not like you have to pay 8 mana to make this big. You just plop it down as a 1/1, and it'll get counters with like Halana and Elena, or just like the Phyrexian Worm now, the Defiler of Vigor. There's plenty of ways to jam a million counters on this, and it's just super threatening for almost no investment.
Yeah, and you talked about it earlier. This in my head is much like a card where you're like, it's perpetually $80. This one's perpetually $20, $25
Because we played that standard, and it was in every deck ever.
Yeah, exactly. But being $4, I was like, oh, what a reasonable price for Hangerback.
I can't wait to. I should just buy some out of spite for my past self.
Yeah, exactly. Send them back in time.
Yeah, send them. I'll ship them back in time.
All right, this following card, if it has synergy with your deck, it's never just a good card in your deck. It's always one of the best cards in your deck. Academy Manufacturer at $3. This is a stupid good Magic card. Whenever you make a clue, a treasure, or a food, or if you make one of those, instead, you make all three. This is so silly, and it's so fun with clone effects because it replaces min effects and then replacement effects on top of the replacement effect, which is just...
2 makes 9 out of 1.
Yeah, exactly. So if you keep cloning them, it is literally exponential.
And the problem with that for your opponents is, treasures make mana and clues draw cards. So if you're making a ton of them, you're just going to dig into more ways to make them, and the game's going to spiral out of control. So this, I like how you said that. It's like, this is either one of the best cards in your deck, or it should not be in your deck.
It's never close. This is never like an okay card that kind of changes from your deck. It's like, no, this card, my commander makes one of these 3 type of tokens. Yeah. So I'm going to get a ton of tokens when I play it.
Or on the treasure deck.
It's weird. It's so funny. There's not many cards like that where it's like, either I don't play it because it's garbage in my deck, or it's top 2 cards in my deck.
There's no spectrum. It's just 2 points on a line.
There's not many cards like that, but yeah, this is one of them. We haven't talked about Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge, a lot on this channel. It's currently $9, but this card, I love it. It's one of my favorite cards I currently do not have in a deck.
Yeah, me too.
It is so strong.
That affinity for artifacts. This is like the Planeswalker that you can play, but the turn's not over. You get to take more game actions, and it protects your life total. It deals damage. It can be a win condition.
It just keeps going. This card doesn't stop. I'm going to try building the new Dadbot Urza, who I absolutely love.
Okay. Esper one, right?
The Esper Dadbot Urza. And I'm going to try building that. Tezzeret, first card, I don't have any cards in my head. I know Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge is already making that list.
Yes, this I think is one of the better Planeswalkers, but we don't talk about it a lot because it's not like the tippy top, but it is one of the ones that's like, if you're an artifacts and you're blue-black, that's the niche, it's great.
Blue-black artifacts is very specific. If you're playing some sort of Silas Wren deck, that's when you start considering this card.
I had it in an Eloise deck.
Yeah, I mean, again, I love Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge. I think it is probably underrated in some sense, but...
And it's powerful. I think you might be underestimating this thing if you haven't seen it yet.
Its plus is so good. It's just so much life loss. It's so much more than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, even just like 6, gain 6 is like, oh boy, that's just 24 points down for my opponents.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, and I gain 6.
Yeah. Oh, and you gain 6. I mean, that's not even good, BZ.
Yeah, but also 6 plus 6 plus 6 is not 24.
Yeah,
Someone call this disclaimer guy.
It is a 24-point life swing.
It's a 24-point life swing.
That's what you meant to say.
And this next card is probably one of my favorites from the past 5 years of Magic. It's Culling Ritual, and it's the most satisfying mini board wipe to resolve. It's only $4. I got it. To me, that's a steal. It's highway robbery. This thing wipes all the tokens, all the mana rocks that are 1s and 2s, just a ton of things that you don't even think about. And then you just go, I have 11 mana. I guess I'll play 3 more spells.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes this card so good, is that it would be a decent, powerful, and strong card that just wiped away all the small things and be played in some versions of
Commander. That's okay.
But it's a ritual. It's literally, and it's in the name, it's a Culling Ritual. They just added, this is a board wipe for small stuff into a huge ritual.
Yeah, this thing never really disappoints. It's to the point, like, I don't even care if I lose like 5 things from it. It's like, great, I'll take 5 mana.
Exactly. Yeah, you get 5 mana for your stuff that's destroyed. We actually mentioned this recently in Strixhaven cards that are worth picking up now that Standards rotate. So go check out that video.
It's right there.
Peace out, Tribe Scouts.